Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to Sani's Fireside Chat. Now, you might be thinking, what's a fireside chat? Well, there's a bit of a historical connotation to this because back in the 1930s and 40s, the 32nd President of the United States, FDR, otherwise known as Franklin D. Roosevelt, had these chats, or these fireside chats, where he would address the American public. Whereas for me, I will be addressing you guys through many things. So in this fireside chat, it will be about the game itself, first Sani Sesh, and takeaways from the Sani Sesh as well. That will be important for you guys to understand when you guys plan to go to events in the future. Although I might not be sitting by a fireside like the great late FDR, the weather itself is absolutely roasting, so you could say it is a fireside chat. I guess you could say that the Sani Fireside Chats and the Sani Seshes are making up for the Sani Cinematic Universe / YouTube universe. So make sure to be tuned in, but let's get started. So the first Sani Sesh was my first ever rugby match that I had attended, and I mean the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic, especially considering there were only 10,000 fans admitted due to COVID. The game itself, in the first half anyway, was quite slow paced. Many penalties were taken, so at the half time it was 12-9 for Toulouse. I mean, in the game itself, many penalties were took. I mean, Romain Ntamak, the fly half for Toulouse, had 17 points by himself. On the other side, the fly half for La Rochelle, Ilhania West, missed two crucial pens as he only got 12 points from his penalties. I mean, the game itself as well, of course, was turned by sending off from the centre of La Rochelle, aka Levan Bottia. It was a high tackle on Maxime Medard, and it was definitely a red card, and that definitely changed the game for both teams, because from there, Toulouse had the impetus to attack a lot more. And in the second half, Cruz Malia, who actually got the try, as you saw in the first Sani Sesh, that was his first European start, and that was the try that effectively won the Heineken Cup, the 5th Heineken Cup for Toulouse. So it was a great game. I mean, there's a YouTuber called Squid Rugby. You can have a check of his breakdown of the game, but what can I say? It was a great sesh. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going to many more sessions in the future. So that was the game itself, but there were other takeaways associated with the sesh, one of which were costs. You might be thinking, oh God, he might have spent a bit of money to get here. And yeah, for some people it might be, but then again, it's all about planning ahead. And that's the one key aspect with these sessions. You always have to plan ahead. But let's talk about costs. So as you remember, I got a train from Birmingham International to London Euston. And I also, on the way back, got a train from London Marylebone to Solihull train station. Altogether, the trains cost me this much. You also remember I got two tubes, so I got a tube from London Euston to London Waterloo, and on the way back I also got a tube from London Waterloo to London Marylebone. Altogether, the tubes for the day cost me this much. In addition, they were also the two trains that I got. So I got a train from London Waterloo to Twickenham station, and once the game had concluded, I got a train from Twickenham station back to London Waterloo. Altogether, the trains for those journeys cost me. Then you're thinking, how much was the ticket? So it was a COVID event in a way, so only 10,000 fans were allowed, and altogether for the seats we paid, considering they were pitch side view seats, the tickets cost me. And then of course, we weren't fasting, we were hungry, we were thirsty, and altogether the food and drink for the sesh cost me this much. And finally, there was one more thing as well that I bought. I bought one of these, a program for the game itself. Now, I always tend to buy ento for each sesh I go to, and for this match, it was the program, and the program cost me. So altogether, the grand total was this much, which in all fairness is not too much. If you think about it, most of the cost is associated with the sesh itself, the ticket, and everything else was planned and budgeted accordingly. So altogether, it wasn't too much, but that was the cost of the sesh. And again, like I keep saying, you need to plan for this and make sure you have the requisite amount of money for the sesh. So they were the costs for the sesh, but there are also other things that you need to understand when planning for these sessions. So the weather is one aspect. I mean, today it's a beautiful summer's day, so you wouldn't really have to worry too much about the weather except for obviously wearing shorts. But on the first Sani Sesh, the weather wasn't great. So always look ahead and see the forecast for the day, maybe 2 days, 3 days in advance. And of course on the day, you never know, it might just be sunny or it might just be rainy. So always plan for the day. The day itself as well, I, as you remember, took a poncho. It's always worth understanding what the weather's going to be like, so then you can take the right clothing. Again, with clothing, it's up to you what you wear, but definitely take something that is waterproof. So that poncho for me is a godsend because it's waterproof and it's warm enough for me to not have another layer. So there's 2 things. Another thing you need to also remember to take is one of these. So a power bank. As you know, it's a long day. The day starts early for these sessions, especially when you're traveling in to the area for the sesh or the event. So you need to plan ahead. You need to have a fully charged phone and make sure you take the power bank. Most stadiums in the country, especially in England, allow you to take a power bank. So this can easily fit into a pocket. So you can easily take it with you and obviously have your phone up to date and fully charged, because a lot of you will be taking your phones to these events. So you can obviously take in the atmosphere, record some parts of the day, and of course take pictures because they're memories at the end of the day. So that's another aspect. And of course, the final aspect is take somebody with you. If you can't, fine, just go, enjoy it. There are people out there that you can speak to at these sessions, at these events, that you'll end up having a great conversation with. And as people say, you're making new friends and you're learning about the game. But for me, myself, I obviously went with my good friend Miles, and Miles, he's a great guy. I mean, he's a character anyway, but more importantly, he knows his rugby. He's been playing since he was a young buck, and he's loved rugby ever since. So it's always worth taking somebody, but also take somebody that loves the sport that you're going to watch or knows enough about the sport. I do know enough, do not get me wrong, but Miles is definitely more experienced when it comes to rugby. And even there were some aspects in the game where he was telling me some things, and it was like an educational dialogue almost, where he was teaching me and I was understanding aspects of the game. So again, it's brilliant because not only are you watching the sport with a friend who's passionate about the sport, but also you're learning and you're understanding, and it's more knowledge, and that's all also bloody brilliant when you go to these events. So they're the main takeaways, I'd say. So that was the 2021 Heineken Cup final. That was the sesh itself. But looking forward to the future, the new season starts very, very soon. Today is the day where the group stages for the 2021-2022 Heineken European Champions Cup season begins. The season itself, though, does start in December and concludes in May, with the final being held in Marseille. The irony of which is that last year I was meant to attend the final in Marseille. That didn't take place. The beauty is that next year you could be seeing me in Marseille for the final then. It would be great if there were 2 French teams, but let's see what happens. Anyway, that'll be a spectacle. But more importantly, this weekend on the Saturday 24th of July, a monumental tour starts. A tour that happens every 4 years. And yes, I'm not talking about something from the Spice Girls or Take That. I'm talking about the Lions Tour. I'm talking about the 2021 Lions Tour of South Africa. Now the Lions Tours, they happen every 4 years. So 4 years ago it was New Zealand, and 8 years ago it was Australia. The Lions Tour take place every 4 years, where they face one of the 3 big Southern Hemisphere teams, obviously those being Australia, New Zealand or South Africa. This jersey that I'm wearing right now, and I wore in the first Sani Sesh, was from the 2009 Lions Tour of South Africa, which the Lions lost 2-1. So a huge amount is on the line, but the tour itself is going to be huge. South Africa are the current world champions. They have a massive pack going forward, and they have a lot to prove, not only because of what this means to South Africa, but also for the fact they haven't played in a year. So they want to prove themselves and show that why they are the world champions. But what does it mean to play for the Lions? Reading a book like this, Lion Man from Sir Ian McGeechan, does tell you what it means to put on a Lions jersey. I might be wearing a Lions jersey and I'm very passionate about it, but I'm not a player. I can only dream to think what players who put on this great jersey feel when they step out onto the field wearing the Lions jersey. So it means a huge lot to the players, the fans, and I can't wait. The series itself will start obviously this Saturday and conclude 2 weeks afterwards. My prediction is that South Africa will win 2-1. I think they just have a bit more going forward. But as we saw in the last Lions tour in New Zealand, it was 1-1 in a drawn test in the final. But I just think South Africa just have a little bit know-how. And the fact that the Lions lost to the South Africa 18 2 weeks ago does make me question whether the Lions are definitely in the right mindset going into this tour. But let's see what happens. As always, guys, though, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to me that you guys obviously support me. But until next time, peace.